what it does. We keep trying to mess it up. They keep trying to bring us down. So I'm just gonna sing to everyone around, 'cause I've got earth beneath my feet and the sky above. And it's a glorious day on the planet I love. Don't tell me about someday, somehow, 'cause all we need is right here, right now. All right, it's about time to start this thing, and I wrote a song just the other day, just a little bit of a verse and a chorus as a tribute to one of my heroes, and I think a lot of our heroes, Jane Goodall. And so here's a little piece of that. Some gratitude from this old chimp before we have to part. If I lost my empathy, I'd want you to be my heart. And if I lost my mind, I'd want your wisdom for my brain. And if I were Tarzan, I'd want you to be my Jane. Talking strong, standing tall, for the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all. For the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all. Some gratitude from this old chimp before we have to part. If I lost my empathy, I'd want you to be my heart. And if I lost my mind, I'd want your wisdom for my brain. And if I were a jungle man, I'd want you to be my Jane. Talking strong, standing tall, for the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all. Sing that. For the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all. One more time. For the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all, for the good of all. Oh, gratitude. Welcome, everybody. Thank you.
Morning, everybody. Come on in. Wonderful. Looks like the bus just got here. So while you guys are coming in, I want to say good morning, first of all, to Brigida in Colorado. I'm thinking of you, dear. Just love to. We should chat sometime soon. And for Denise in Missouri, for Howard and Sherry in Oregon. Thank you guys for being in our virtual community, and it's wonderful having you here today with us. We're going to stir things up a little bit different today. As opposed to me doing a sermon, talk, whatever it is I do, Jim and I are going to have a conversation. Not a debate, a conversation, just to kind of explore and be open to a thing, and we want you to participate in it. So we're going to start that in just a few minutes, but before we do that, before we start our thing, just a couple things that are coming down the line that you should be aware of. The first is that there are tickets. We have raffle tickets. There's determined. Lord of the Rings is going to be first. Okay, that is after service. This is our monthly book study. We're doing Lord of the Rings, and we are on the Fellowship of the Rings, and we are starting from Rivendell to the Adventures. So that will be after service for anybody that wants to be part of that. By the way, I just walked past the kitchen, and Anne has made, somebody gave her a bunch of salmon. Anne has made salmon patties and potatoes, so it should be a lovely lunch, so please stay for that. I guess we say service starts at 10:30 and ends at lunch, so we have a little bit of a feast coming down. Anyway, Lord of the Rings is going to be happening after that. And then something happened that just disappeared. Fairview Canyon is coming next Saturday, and they are just remarkable. If you haven't got your tickets yet, please do so. And if you haven't got your tickets yet, you have an opportunity to get some by, we are having a raffle. Someone bought 2 tickets and donated them. So for $5, you have a chance to get 2 tickets. And you can see Andrea after service. She'll be out in Star Hall, and you can purchase raffle tickets there. And let your friends know this is going to be a fun evening. These guys are just absolutely amazing.
We need harmony more than ever right now. And that's beautiful 4-piece harmonies coming out. So.
It is. Harmony saves the world. You're right. So we got that going on. Let's see. Paul's class has already started. That's going on. What is this? I can't. Oh, this is my thing. So November 7th, I'm getting together with 3 of my good friends, Reverend Dr. Christian Sorensen, Reverend Dr. Kathy Hearn, and Reverend Kevin Busey, and myself. We are going to be at Seaside for a conversation panel on looking at the condition of the world and what New Thought has to offer. I'm really excited about that. So these are 3 big power hitters, and I'm just honored to be in their company with them. So that's going to be Friday at 7 o'clock at Seaside. You can get tickets there. And there's flyers all around everywhere. So you can get them. Okay, then there is Youth and Family going on. If you got kids or if you want to go be a kid today, you can go back down and be with Reverend Laura in the back room. That's happening. And prayer. Or chanting with Magdalena on Thursdays. This is like an eye test for me. The Sunday. Okay, it says October 1st. Oh, and 19th. Like I said, yeah, one of those things. I got one right. So 9:45 you can chant. So that's in 2 Sundays. That will be there. So that's happening. Wellbeing in the Tao is Jim's class. Anything you want to say about that, Jim? Okay. More come. Yeah, more. A lot of fun. Interesting stuff. Good slides. Happy. That's happening. Gift shop. Noreen is here she's here a couple times during the week working on and early setting up. And not that she needs some love, she deserves some love, and she's worthy of some love, and she just radiates love, so it's always wonderful having Noreen here. But go visit her in the gift shop, and you'll see fun and cool things. Yes. She should have a hand. All right, so that's happening. Ministry of Prayer, there we go. I knew I'd get to that. It's the most important thing. We pray. We pray. The practitioners get together every Friday morning, and we pray collectively. And we're happy to pray with you anytime. If your heart has been touched by anything today, do not hesitate. You can see one of the practitioners. Paul's here. Andrea's here. Any other practitioners here today? Nope. Those 2 are here. You can ask them for prayer. They'd be happy to pray with you. Or you can fill out a prayer request out in the narthex, and we get together and we pray with them, or you can make an appointment with one of us. And then Paul will be doing a short prayer service after service in the Emerson room. So that's happening. Determinism and free will. Isn't that good? Why does it matter? Or has that argument already been settled? And we're just playing it out. So we'll kind of see where we go with that one. Okay, and with that, here's our question of the morning. So we have been talking about being a place of freedom. And so the question is, are you seeking freedom from or freedom to? Something in your life right now, are you seeking freedom from something, or are you seeking freedom to something? Jim, you want to go start on this? Sure.
I feel that's a little bit of a loaded question given our topic today. Yeah. Freedom is a tricky one for me, in the sense that freedom is always about something that we're no longer connected to in some way. And I very much come from the perspective that everything is connected. So it's hard for me to talk about the idea of freedom in that sense. So I'm not quite sure how to answer that one, but maybe during our discussion today, we'll be able to flesh that out a little bit.
Right. For me, it's about just the freedom to be able to speak to what I think is important without the fear of, you know, cultural expectations or expectations of what, you know, society thinks I should be like. And I feel like, you know, that's just something that we all kind of struggle with, because conformity and tradition is important for our species, but also just speaking your own truth as well. So the freedom to speak up when it feels right.
Beautiful. Paul?
For me would be freedom from any thoughts of that keep me from my highest good, and then to allow that presence of life to just move through me effortlessly and lovingly, so I can, you know, really shift my own perspective to a greater sense of well-being, to a greater sense of love, to a greater sense of light, because I know it starts with me.
Okay. Anyone else? Hands up. There we go. Chris.
I am not seeking, I am free.
Oh, there you go. Okay. So Tim was back there.
I think it all boils down to judgment.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that. Judgment. Anyone else? Are you free from something or free to something? Or, yep, there's my good friend Wes there. Les.
I am free to love everyone and everything all the time, no exceptions.
I love that. Right there. Angela, yes.
I think the biggest freedom we have is that we all have kind of the two voices in our heads. And if you stop and notice what you notice, you have a choice in that moment, in your thoughts, that directs you to wherever you're going. So to me, that's the ultimate freedom that we all have. It's within ourselves to choose our thoughts.
Oh, okay. I thought you.
Waving.
Okay. It was a fake.
It was fake.
Yes. Awesome. Anyone else?
I'm searching for freedom from irritation. So that there's anything that comes up that I begin to feel that feeling that I immediately worked to not have that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I've been in Jim's class now for like 2-3 years, so I know what he's about to say. And yeah, he's going to argue for determinism. And I'm going to tell Jim again, as I have many times before, I've exercised my free will throughout my life. So anyways, good luck, Jim.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. Well then, Paul, why don't you lead us in an invocation and let us begin our service?
Awesome. So my name is Paul. I'm your practitioner of service for today. It's a pleasure and honor to be here, to gather this beautiful community with all these beautiful faces that I see in front of me, and I'm so grateful. And so we had a discussion in our class that we're having this week on treatment and meditation, and it was about the group experience and the community, the sangha and the satsang, and how when we gather together, we're able to share this wonderful and beautiful experience of life that is everywhere present and that is here now within each and every one of us. And so what it was about how we all strengthened in our community to really see life through a perspective of love and peace. And so I just wanted to share that with everyone here, especially since we are here gathered and we're going to go over a really beautiful discussion today. So let us pray this service in. If you'd like to pray with me, if you'd like to close your eyes or just sit in your seat with me, feel free to do so. Let us simply acknowledge this presence that is here now. And we acknowledge this presence as love. This loving presence that is everywhere. We can see it in the reflection of light, especially in this time of year. as it starts to cool. We see it in the intricacies in all things, in movement. We feel it within our being, within the heart, as it simply just does its thing and it beats on its own. And we breathe this love. I call it God. Many names are given to this presence: divine, grace, beauty, joy, peace. It is everywhere. And it moves and has its being in all things. In the seat that is supporting us, in the music that is being played, in the love in every single word that is being spoken of. All of it is that divine presence, and it's here now as we gather in this beautiful community where we strengthen each other's resolve that truly we are surrounded by this presence of love, and it moves and it has its being in all that we do. For as it is said by the barefoot rabbi, where two or more are gathered, I am there in the midst of thee. And so as we celebrate, let this celebration be a token of gratitude. And may that gratitude fill us on this day and in this week coming forth to know this presence more clearly and more beautifully in our lives. And so I release and let God, I call it forth into being by letting it be so, and so it is. And so the reading for the week was written by a man named Wayne Mueller, and he's an author of this beautiful book called Sabbath. And there was a few years back, Dr. Guy would mention this book, so I figured, hey, it'd probably be a good book. So I ordered it, and it's a really lovely book. It talks about the importance of really sitting in our sacred beingness and really removing any distractions that we may have that keep us from that presence, from that beauty. And so since the theme of the week is about a new beginning, a new creation, I figured, hey, what better way to bring in a reading that speaks of that, which is the Sabbath. And so the reading goes, creation, then, is an ongoing story of a new beginnings, opportunities to begin again and again. God began to create, is still creating. Nothing is finished. Creation continues to arise out of emptiness, take form, and dissolve over time, dust to dust, returning to emptiness. All life arises and falls away in this beauty, fruitful rhythm. And now let us sit with that, with the brief contemplation and the meditation. As I ring this bowl, I will see you on the other side. with love and light, and so it is.
This is a song that's got a little bit of a call and response sing along. So if I say, be good, you say, be good, same thing right after. So, be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love. And love everybody alive. I'm singing this song because it's by one of my favorite artists in the modern day. Her name is Carsie Blanton. She's currently imprisoned overseas for trying to bring food to the hungry. She can't sing these songs right now. Jesus Christ was a handsome man. He had nothing to hide. He said, give bread to the hungry, bring the homeless inside. Jesus Christ was a dangerous man. That's the way that he died. He said, be good to the people you love. Love everybody alive. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love. Love everybody alive. Dr. King was a preacher. He had God on his side. He said, all of God's children are brothers. Don't cast your brother aside. Dr. King was a dangerous man. That's the way that he died. Saying, be good to the people you love. Love everybody alive. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Good to the people you love. Love everybody alive. There ain't nothing more criminal than kindness. There ain't nothing more valuable than blindness. We'll make anyone a martyr who remind us everybody's got a right to be free. Be good to the people. Be good to the people. Be good to the people you love. And love everybody alive. Love everybody alive. You got to love everybody alive. One more time. Love everybody alive. Carsie Blanton. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please welcome our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams and Jim Jones
Yes.
for this amazing discussion.
Yes. Why don't we pull these chairs up, Jim? So we can be cozy. I'll sit here. So like I said, we're gonna, I'm plugging my glass of water. Let me try this.
Welcome to our living room.
Exactly. The Alfred E. Newman Center for Spiritual Living. That would be, what me worry. Okay, so we're doing things a little different today. We're gonna hopefully engage ourselves in a conversation. And Jim and I have been talking about this, but Jim's gonna give a minute or two just kind of where he's coming from that. And not like I'm gonna debate it, but I think we're gonna just kind of be in a conversation about freedom, not verses, but how we look, because let's face it, the world that we live in is interpreted, right? And how we see things is how we experience things. So we're just kind of in this conversation. So I'll let you go, my good buddy here, Jim.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and sometimes people are just completely unaware of this whole debate, but other people, there's a raging storm on this on the internet and YouTube, but of course this has been a discussion that's been going on for centuries, if not thousands of years, about what degree of freedom do we actually have, if any. And so I am very well convinced of the deterministic side of things, and I'll just be presenting, hopefully quickly, a brief overview of what that looks like. And I will say that this is a in-depth topic. So if at the end of this you think you'd be interested in having me do more of a full-length seminar, we can do something like that too, outside of the Sunday service. So just let me know. So real quickly, then I got some slides here. I just love the term you gave me, irreverent Jim Jones. So I've
irreverent Jim Jones.
I included that in the slide. Okay, so let's see. Why am I not connecting here?
You know what? Oh, that. So your mic looks like it's got a red light.
Well, but my clicker's not clicking either. Is the other problem.
It was meant to be. Not a bit. I'm going to try this one.
Well, they just brought me a new one, but it's not turned on. The mic's not on. I hear it making leaking noises. Let me try to restart. Oh, okay. I think it's working now. Okay, but my mic worked. I got green light, but no sound. Testing 1, 2.
I don't think that mic is on.
It's got the green light, but it's not, there we go. Okay, a little bright. So here we go. We're going to try and do this real quick 10-minute presentation on what in the world is determinism. And I'll start with the question that everybody seems to have. Well, if everything is determined, why do anything at all? And this is really hot, Steve, if you can work on that there for a second. I'll just give you a quick answer here, but we'll flesh this out through the rest of the presentation. If the universe unfolds according to cause and effect, then your choices, actions, and intentions are themselves part of that unfolding. So that might not make a lot of sense just yet, but it will by the time we get to the end. Our capacity to learn is how we participate in the unfolding. So why determinism? Why do I care about this? Well, one, if it's true, that's always going to be preferable to fantasy. And if we think about anything in life where we're trying to solve a problem or work on something, if our primary understanding of what the situation is faulty, everything that flows from that's going to be problematic. So this is where I find it important to get to what is the truth of this particular point. Not that we'll be able to do that today, but we're going to share the positions here. So it's also not just an academic issue. There's real life implications, including the aspect that we've talked about many times here at Hilltop about everything being connected. Well, if everything is connected, what does that mean? And hence why I had the problem with the question about freedom being disconnected from other things, and what could that mean, if anything? Also, it is a way of liberating us from our most destructive thought, which I'll share with you at the end, as well as that it engenders our pro-social emotions. So these are key things that are important for us that we'll see as we go. So to break it down and try and make it as simple as possible, I want to talk about patterns. So patterns is a way that things unfold in a predictable way, right? And so one of the key things with patterns is it makes learning possible. If I stick my hand in the fire and it burns and I pull it out and I stick it in again and it doesn't burn, I don't have any way of learning not to put my hand in the fire. The only way I'm able to learn that is because every single time I stick my hand in the fire, it's going to burn. So patterns are required for us to be able to learn. And then in addition to that, we would say that existence itself is dependent on patterns. So if the electromagnetic force that holds electrons to the nucleus of an atom didn't function the exact same way every time, the entire universe would literally fly apart. So the fact that there's this patterned nature to reality is required for existence to even be possible. And that then leads to the idea that, in theory, the universe is knowable. Not that we know everything, but in principle, because it's patterned, it's a knowable world that we live in. And then finally, it's an interconnected world, because the patterns are impacting on other things. If there wasn't anything else to interact with, there would be no patterns. So there's this interconnected aspect to the world that we live in. And I'm just going to dive a little bit into some statements on that from Carlo Rovelli, who is a fantastic physicist. He's written a lot on quantum theory and quantum mechanics in a very readable way. I highly recommend this book, Helgoland, if you're curious about that. But here's what he has to say. The discovery of quantum theory, I believe, is the discovery that the properties of any entity are nothing other than the way in which that entity influences others. It exists only through its interactions. Quantum theory is the theory of how things influence each other, and this is the best description of nature that we have. So in a number of things, when we're thinking about quantum mechanics and the strangeness of it, they'll talk about how it's difficult to even measure something, that we can't know where something is before it's measured. And this is the issue that he's trying to address, is that if you try to isolate something from everything else, it might not actually exist. It only exists in relationship. So am I tall or am I short? Well, that doesn't mean anything unless there's something else that's a different height. How much does something weigh? What color is it? All these attributes that describe what we see only exist in relationship to other things. He continues, this is a radical leap. It is equivalent to saying that everything consists solely of the way in which it affects something else. When the electron does not interact with anything, it has no physical properties. It has no position. It has no velocity. The properties of an object are the way in which it acts upon other objects. Reality is this web of interactions. Instead of seeing the physical world as a collection of objects with definite properties, quantum theory invites us to see the physical world as a net of relations. This is a fascinating way to think about things, that nothing exists except in relationship. So, with patterns then, and understanding how they work, it allows us to predict. If we didn't have a patterned world, we couldn't do all the things that we do with science, including making this remote microphone and slideshow work. It allows us to know how to alter reality. So if we understand how the pattern works, then now we have the ability to intervene and bring about some other effect. It also then is going to determine our success or failure. To the degree that we're acting in harmony with the patterns of reality, we'll be successful, and to the degree that we are either ignorant or ignore those things, we will not be. So, determinism then is basically a way of saying that we live in a patterned world. That's the core of what we're trying to get at there, is that things unfold according to these patterns, and if we know the patterns, we'll have a better idea of understanding how to predict things and how to work with them. Technical way of saying this is that if we knew the current state of a system plus perfect knowledge of the laws of physics, we could accurately predict what happens next. So this would be like a game of billiards. You got the balls on the table and you need to hit that cue ball in a particular way to cause an effect that's going to bring about the outcome that you're looking for. Everything, in a sense, from this patterned way of looking at things is how the entire universe works, which is how we can understand, that an asteroid is going to come near the Earth in 50 years, right? Because we can predict out how that pattern is going to unfold over vast periods of time and space. And then we are part of the world. If we are made up of the same stuff as everything else in the world, then we also fall into this patterned way of being. We are also, in a sense, determined. But this is not predestination. This doesn't mean that there's somebody that had some plan and is orchestrating everything for how it to unfold. It's that the prior state of something determines what's possible for what comes next. It's more of this kind of cause and effect relationship that everything has. So when we're thinking about those prior conditions, this would be, in the words of Hegel, this idea of thrownness, that we inherit everything about us, right? Our biology, our genetic stuff just comes to us through our parents. We didn't have any choice or control over those things. We didn't have any control over what time and place of the world that we were born into, if our parents loved us and cared for us, if they fed us what we needed to develop in the way that we do. And we see all sorts of industries that are trying to deal with what happens when your parents didn't love you properly, or if you didn't have proper nutrition to develop. There's all kinds of side effects that'll happen from that, because there's this patterned way that things unfold. And ultimately, we can see that this chain of events and this patterns is something that really begins back with the Big Bang and leads right up to this present moment. What we're experiencing right now is the result of this long chain of cause and effect that's gone all the way back to the Big Bang. Which leads us then to the understanding that all action then is co-action. Nobody can act in isolation. All actions are part of interacting with other things. Nothing in that sense is isolated. Key point then being that if we could somehow rewind time to a point when we decided something, that if all the conditions were exactly the same, this would mean that the exact same thing would happen. There's no way that it could have unfolded differently. Everything that's happened up to this point unfolded in the only way possible. And this is a key thing that we're going to need to understand. So why does it feel like I make a choice? Well, we choose what we want, but we don't get to choose what we want, which sounds like a little bit of a circular thing, but it's like this. Say that we have the option between pizza and a hamburger. Which one do you want? Well, maybe I choose pizza. Well, why did you want pizza? Well, because I like it better. Why do you like it better? I don't know. I can't explain it. And with all of our thoughts, if we try to trace them back, there's a certain point where we don't really have any way of explaining why we actually prefer some things to other things. And this is the point that we feel like we're making choices because we're choosing the thing we want, but we didn't get to choose that we like that thing or that we want that thing. And that's kind of the weird, kind of like circular aspect of this whole thing. We have the experience, but it's almost like an illusion because we're going through that choice based on the things that we want, but we didn't get to choose those things. So the other question we have to ask is, if we're talking about free will, what are we talking about freedom from? Are we talking about freedom from biology or freedom from physics? What about history, all the things that made up our experience that we've experienced in life? Are we free from those things having an impact on us? Or what about freedom from our emotional states or our desires, the things that we want? Or our education that we have received, or external events that we've had to deal with. What would any kind of decision look like if it was free from these things, or how could you possibly be free from them, right? The only thing that could possibly be would be random. And what people are after when they talk about free will is not that they're acting randomly. They want their choices to be a product of who they are, which is going to be our biology, the physics of who we are and the world we live in, the history of things we've experienced, our emotions, desires, our education, and external things that we've experienced. We want all those things to be informing and shaping the types of actions and decisions that we make. So belief, then, that we are an uncaused causer, an actor that is not a co-actor, has some implications. It disconnects us from the whole. If somehow everything in the universe is influencing everything else, and there's these patterns that are existing everywhere from the beginning of time, then to claim that somehow I am independent of that takes me out of the world. It disconnects me from this pattern through which everything is functioning. And it invites an emotional disharmony, because there's consequences to what unfolds psychologically when we think that we are the sole source of the actions that we do. We lose, and this is kind of pulling more like from a Joseph Campbell type of thinking. He would state it something like this: we lose the generative goddess of Mother Nature to the supernatural god or gods that control nature. This would be the kind of shift that would happen if we choose to adopt this thought that we are an uncaused causer. So then, determinism, a patterned world, is this the handcuffs that keep us chained to something, or is this the key to everything, unlocking everything? Because those patterns are vital for us to learn and understand and participate in our world, how to manipulate and change things in our world, and that's only possible if everything is patterned. The patterns is the key, not the problem. So, the key then is that what we learn becomes part of that prior state, which determines what happens next. So we have this capacity to learn, which is not in contradiction to a patterned world. It just means we're able to remember those patterns, and our knowledge of those patterns will then be part of what determines next. Our experiences, the things that we've thought and felt, and the things that we've read, the people that we've talked to. This all becomes part of that, what happens next. So our actions, while determined, express who we are in that totality of our experience. And isn't that ultimately what we want? So the benefits then is, I said there's that most dangerous thought, and that most destructive thought, I should say. And that is the thought that it could have been otherwise. When we get hung up on this idea that something could have been otherwise in our past, it leads to all kinds of either beating ourselves up about something or somehow thinking that other people are more responsible for something than they actually are. That can bring about anger and hatred and a whole host of different destructive emotional thoughts. If we understand that nothing up to this point could have unfolded any way other than the way it did, it creates a whole new context for us where we have different types of experiences or emotional responses to things, including acceptance. So there's a level of acceptance that we can participate in even if we don't view things from a deterministic worldview, but it's entirely different than what you experience when you see things from that deterministic perspective, which then also leads to a greater degree of humility and compassion that we can have for ourselves and for other people. So, bottom line, we are learning creatures in a determined world. Our actions are a product of everything that we've experienced, and they fully express the unique situation and time and space that we are, but it is still participating in this larger deterministic framework. So that's a very quick tour of what we mean by determinism. So I think we'll start with having you maybe ask some questions.
Well, actually, I'd like to respond.
Yes, please.
And then we'll go into questions. So,
I think your mic's off.
my mic is on. It's just not on. But I have a big voice.
There it is.
I have a big voice. So a couple things that I'd like to just add into this conversation. One is I almost agree with everything that my friend Jim is saying. And there would be a couple things where I would fluctuate differently, or I would offer maybe a different imagination, a different perspective of looking. And I would start with something that you said at the very beginning that I would challenge, which is that the universe is not knowable. Max Planck says something very interesting. He says, how can we really know the natural world when we are actually part of the natural world? So we're trying to understand something that we're an evolving part in. And there's a quality about that that I would, from where I play in the universe, and by the way, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer. It's the one that works for you. It's because we always tell stories to help us sleep at night. So for myself then, I think in terms of, something that Kabbalah says, and I talked a little bit about this last week. In Kabbalah, there is this idea of something that actually shows up in the Big Bang, which is fluctuation or novelty. If we would all be in agreement that we live in an unfinished, unripe, evolving universe, it's by its very nature imperfect because of that. And one of the things that determines its imperfection is the quality of novelty. And we, scientists kind of play in this arena, and I'm talking a little bit above my pay grade here, but there are, billions of years ago, when there was this sort of cosmic soup, this plasmatic energy, there began to be fluctuations in that, imperfections in that, heat, coolness, those kinds of things, which created the elemental tables and that sort of thing, which gave rise to the matter that we live in and the planet that we're in, and where we would agree is that we are part of this thing called stardust. It's the very engine of the Big Bang is alive in each and every one of us. And including in that is the material world that we live in, where everything is totally interconnected to everything else, and everything is relational because it's a relational universe. And then there is the world of the imagination, or the imaginal world, because we would all agree that we are more than just a material being. There's something else within us where our consciousness grows, and granted, our consciousness is shaped by so many things. Culture shapes our consciousness. Family shapes our consciousness. Education shapes our consciousness. And something that an early New Thought person by the name of Thomas Troward would talk about is he talked about how we were, that the living world that we live in is sort of determined by cause and effect, but that the greater our awareness of awareness gives us this opportunity to move into the imaginal or the uncharted lands. Something that Abraham Heschel would say. He says, there are two ways of knowing. There's reason, and reason is how we make sense of these things, but there's also wonder or amazement or surprise. And this brings us to a different place, a place of reverence, and something we encounter there is something that we are part of and yet is greater than ourself. And whether it be the Christian mystics or the Jewish mystics, there's something about that even when there is not just the Judeo-Christian, but in Buddhism as well, and certainly in Hinduism, but this idea that even if there is an error that we have made, there's a metanoia, or an opportunity to change direction by changing consciousness. And what I would offer is that's the quality, a divine quality of novelty. That which has not been before. That's the very engine of evolution itself. A fluctuation that was not determined, but happened.
Well, to push back a little bit.
Please. And then we'll go to our lovely people here.
So you made the statement that we would all agree that there's something beyond the material. I would say that's not a given for everybody, including myself.
Okay, fair enough.
But all the points that you brought up in terms of novelty and things unfolding according to, like you said, there's these fluctuations, that does not in any way rule out a patterned reality. In fact, evolution depends on a patterned nature of how things unfold. It doesn't rule out that there can be novelty or that we can experience awe and wonder. We can watch the sunset and see this amazing beauty and have this sense of awe and something bigger than ourselves. It's entirely deterministic. So creativity is part of how we take what we've experienced and learned and incorporate that in new ways, combining things in ways they haven't been combined before. But that doesn't rule out that all of that is patterned. It doesn't mean that it's a stale universe. It just means that the mechanism by which things unfold allows for a great deal of creativity as we can see the universe all around us.
True. So, and I don't want to get into this is a better conversation on a second glass of wine, which is a little too early to do. In vino es veritas, as they say it, in wine there is truth. But what I would offer is this, yes, our perspectives are different because our perspectives are different. And irreconcilable or not, there's no way I can convince you, nor would I want to, that there is more to me than simply the body that I live in, nor would you convince me, because of my own experiences, that I am only the body that I'm living in a physical universe? That's a fundamental shift that, if it could be proved, what would be the point of faith? So I'll just kind of leave it there because I really want to invite the community in. And we already have a hand up. And so do we have a third mic? Steve? So I'm going to also own that we're going to go to like 11:30 so that you guys can have your lives, and it's about 20-ish after. So we'll do about, so as Emerson says, genius stands on limitation. Edit what you're going to say.
You are speaking my language.
Which one?
Both of you.
Okay.
But here's what I see that's a little bit different in the way that I view things. Absolutely, there's quantum physics. Absolutely, we're finding out that everything is connected. Yet there is one thing that we can't deny, which is that each one of us, we don't see the whole world. We can study quantum physics. We each live our lives through our own eyes. There's no two of us in the room who are actually seeing the same world. And with that, as I mentioned earlier, there is a point of choice. Do we get to change the past? No. But I do believe that we begin to see the whole as we look backwards in our lives, and we began to see the things we can't change, but that brought us to this point where we each have different decisions to make. And you make the decisions, as you mentioned, like pizza, and heck, if you want pizza, you want pizza. But no, not if you're a person who says, okay, what's important to me is health. I can choose pizza, I can choose vegetables. Okay, that pizza looks really good, but I choose vegetables. So we do have choices.
But even the concern for health is because maybe you've read something or learned something about how our bodies
Correct.
work, right? So that's informing the types of choices that you're making. It
And
wasn't
that
made out
is-
of a context where there was no history to the choice.
I'm not saying there's no history to the choice, but I'm saying each of us have our own history.
Exactly.
There's no two of us who have studied the same things to make the same choice at the same
Absolutely.
time.
Yep.
And my philosophy that I'm writing about is the human life adventure game. That we were part of the quantum physics. We were part of the universe. We were part of what I call spirit and God. And we said, wouldn't it be fun to have some limitation? Just like us getting out a game of Monopoly, wouldn't it be fun if we went down and we had this limited time as a human being, and we could each only see through our own eyes, nobody else's. We each started in different places. And maybe the jump of faith is that, and we each had something to achieve while we were here. And it's different for each one of us. That's why some people start out and they have distress. Parents who didn't take care of them. Others start out with advantage. Well, in the human life adventure game, they may have a different ending.
Yeah.
They have different goals.
And I will
So
just
I'm
say-
gonna kind of want to move this around.
Yeah.
You have great points, and we got salmon cakes to keep this conversation going.
I just want to have one thought on that, though, is that in a dualistic worldview where there's a spiritual reality versus a physical reality, there's all kinds of things that we can say about what may have come before or what may come after. I can't speak to that. As a naturalist, it's not something that we have access to, so those become issues, like you said, of faith. And I can't speak to that, obviously. So any of the discussions about determinism and free will, you kind of go outside the bounds when you bring in that faith element of a dualistic perspective, because it just simply can't address it. There's no way to look at it scientifically.
Joe and I have had that conversation. Years ago, Joe and I were out hiking, and Joe said to me, I don't know if you remember this conversation, Joe, but you and I were having a hike, and you said to me that science, because Joe is a real scientist, he's like a real scientist, he works for JPL, and he said to me, he says, we as scientists can understand everything from the Big Bang forward. And I said, but Joe, what about what happened before the Big Bang? And he goes, we don't go there. But as a metaphysician, that's where I love to play. So, but I want to open this up for other people as well.
Lee?
By the way, Joe, you and I need to have a glass of wine. Not like, and I'm not promoting that so that you don't think that the minister is a Dionysian lush. He's not, but.
Yeah. Yeah,
Over a glass of wine.
Likewise, I appreciate the duality of it. Like, I totally understand the science of it. I can't actually say that. No one understands the science of it, but I love the science of it, and I think there's a great benefit, like the Greeks would say, know thyself. So to know your patterns, know why you are created the way that you are, why you have the taste and the emotions that you have. That delving into those understandings of those patterns and why the world the way it is, absolutely, I think there's a major benefit to that. At the same time, the fact that it feels like we have a freedom of choice and it feels like we have the freedom to learn new things, that's where the faith comes in. Have the faith that, even if I am determined, even if everything is predetermined, have faith that that's going to end up in something that I enjoy. Just combining the both. Know thyself through understanding the patterns and the science, but also believe that that can lead to something great.
Yeah, surprise. Anyone else? Any other thoughts on this? Thoughts? Okay.
Well, maybe just a final question. Do you like this kind of presentation where there's a give and take? Is this something that you would maybe like to see some more of?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Looks like we got some happy faces.
Yeah, I got to read Tolkien last night instead of writing a talk. I loved it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think hopefully what this does is it creates an opportunity for another conversation to keep going, and that's why we say service concludes at lunch, so that we take this, or you take this, or where you are with what, because I think it's enriched. When we. You guys don't want to just sit and watch me every Sunday. I mean, we want some juice. We want some stimulus. We want it to grow. And anyway, so that's that. And thank you, Jim. This was fun. We'll do more of this.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for your questions.
So, being good Montessorians, let's put our chairs back and let's.
Sometimes, people's names, don't know if you ever run into this, but people's names or something about their names kind of dictate what they end up doing. And I don't know how many of you know that my middle name is Hope. That's my uncle's name. I named my son Kai Hope Coulter. And I always like to think about did that have an impact on me trying to write this music that is hopeful? And so I'm going to sing the song, another one from Carsey Blanton, the amazing singer-songwriter, putting her money where her mouth is, and this one's called Hope, which is a difficult and complicated thing sometimes. Hope, what a brutal thing. Oh, the way it stings, coming down like rain upon your desert sand. Then hope comes riding in, makes you think again. Just when you thought you'd folded up that losing hand, she breaks into a heart that's broken, blowing all the doors wide open. I'll keep hoping till the day I die. Hope, what a brittle thing.
Oh, the way she sings, coming down like light upon the prison wall. And hope, first you start to cry, then you wonder why you got so lucky ever to be born at all. She breaks into a heart that's broken, blowing all the doors wide open. I'll keep hoping till the day I die, till the day I die. Some may say it's better not to dream. Sometimes I can see just what they mean. But on a very lonely day, I'll put my foolish dreams away and face the world exactly as it seems. But then she breaks into a heart that's broken, blowing all the doors wide open. I'll keep hoping till the day I die, till the day I die. Keep hoping. Thanks, Walter.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys for such a great, great talk. That was amazing. And the microphone is turned off. Hello. So now we reached our time of, is it off? It's off.
What, mine?
Hello. Okay. So we reached our time of conscious giving. And you know, this is an amazing place, right? I think we can all agree on that. And I think we can all agree that many hands, you know, make it happen. And all of us here together, we get to share this experience together. How beautiful is that? And we get to share our love, and we get to share our money, right, with each other, and just really keep this game going. And it requires all of us together doing it together, right? So we're all in this together, right? And so when one of us decides to move away from the pack, right, it kind of creates dissonance. And so we're here for harmony. And so if you decide to share today, which just by being here, by the way, is sharing. So we welcome your energy and your presence and your love. If you're here deciding to give in whatever way you are, join with me in this prayer. As we give today, I know that each and every gift comes from a place of deep love and appreciation for community, for life, for joy and peace, and that this essence is the essence that goes with us of curiosity, of love, and peace. And so I know the gifts today that are given are blessed in each and every way. With gratitude, I give thanks, I let it be so, and so it is. So it is.
People like you and you. You didn't have to, but you do what you do. You keep on coming through, coming through, coming through. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Thank you. The people coming through, coming through.
Thank you, Jim. That was fun. Good. I'm glad. I hope you guys had fun too. I have fun every Sunday, though I amuse myself easily. So I want to thank you guys all for being here today. I want to thank you guys who are in the virtual world watching us. Thank you for that. Again, Brigitte, Denise, Sherry, Howard, love you guys. And I want to thank Steve, who showed up, and he's running the sound booth there. That's a very cool thing. Noreen, who's got the guest thing. Chris was doing greeter. Did you have anybody greeting with you today? Everybody greeted with you. Well, there you go. There is the presence of love right there, greeting with everybody. Of course, our sound people here, our music people, Steve, Jim and Lee. Lee Hope, I didn't know your middle name was Hope. That is beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So, and Paul being our practitioner, Andrea for running the place. Yes, dear?
I was raised on Hope Avenue.
You were raised on Hope Avenue.
That makes sense.
Of course. Yeah. Cool. All right. So, lunch topic. How is hope a real word in your life? Maybe that's not Sunday's question. This is going to be one of those days that where it's good to be king and declare something. So what I'm going to declare is that I would love to have our musicians and Steve hit the table first. So please hang out, have a cup of coffee, visit, let them go through and get a plate of food, and then everybody else. We have quite a feast. We have salmon and potatoes, and I saw Paul walking by with a cookie earlier, so there's good things. Stay around. Those of you that are interested in having a conversation on Tolkien, we'll do that a little bit after lunch. And thank you guys all for being here. I love coming here on Sundays. I do. So with that, let us pray. Let us pray for the author of the songs that we heard today, her and the nearly 500 people who are at this point incarcerated for shedding a light to a very dark thing, bringing hope in a place of despair. May our love be a micronutrient into the world for them, a microdose of hope. May each of us fill this day with a place of amazement and wonder. May each one of us be surprised today. And may that surprise lead us to a place of wonder and awe, inviting us into the imaginal. May we experience reverence, recognizing that we are each and every one of us part of something greater than ourselves, and that it is love that is luring all things into that experience of flourishing. And may we, as St. Teresa of Avila says, may we be the activity of spirit itself. May we be the eyes, the ears, the hands, the feet of unrelenting love, healing, tikkun olam, healing the brokenness. And so we bless it all. We give thanks. We let it be. And so it is.
It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. Gotta carry that wood, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you order. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you order. Chop that wood and carry that water. Well, everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step, I'm gonna add some worth. We can feel afraid, but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you ought to. Chop that wood and carry that water. Because we're all together. Because we're all together. It might be cheesy, but it's true. I said we're all together. No matter where you're coming from, I said we're all together. Yeah. Yes, we're all together. Well, we should get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, I'm gonna do someone a favor, treat myself better and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. Because we're all together. No while we're all together.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you, Walter. Thanks, Jim Jones. Much love.